And I don't know, government shutdown, it maybe should say government reopening updates. I don't know, but on Wednesday, so President
momentarily, right? No,
momentarily, yeah.
yeah.
So Trump signed the reauthorization, it's temporary bill that would fund the government through January 30th. But after that, I mean, it's hard to say we could have another shutdown. So just kind of keep that at the back of your mind, I guess would be the tip there. But I mean, impacts as far as what it would have for your program, really the biggest one is going to be in terms of flood. And we kind of talked about it in prior meetings here, I think maybe last month. But so during the shutdown, the NFIP was lapsed and you couldn't get flood insurance policies, new ones, or renewals of existing policies. So those weren't able to be issued. But now that they're reinstated and up and running again, if you did originate new loans during that time and they were in a flood zone, or maybe if you had a policy that expired, you need to make sure that you do have that flood coverage in place. And there are a few different scenarios that could have occurred through this. So just kind of wanted to step through those really quick. But the first would be, so if you had a borrower that they applied for coverage and they paid the premium before the lapse, then the NFIP insurers, they could issue a policy effective as of the closing date of the loan. Or if you had borrowers who they applied, but they didn't pay the premium, or maybe they didn't even apply prior to the lapse, then you're going to have to begin that forced placement process, which means that you have to send out the 45-day forced placement letter notice to the borrower. Another scenario here would be that maybe your borrower had that existing policy and it expired. And if they didn't pay that premium before the lapse there, if they do pay it as soon as possible, they could still be within that 30-day grace period. And so if they get that premium paid, I mean, today or tomorrow, as soon as they can here, it would be considered that no lapse had occurred. But you're going to still have to send that 45-day forced placement letter notice out to them. So don't forget that. And then there's private policies. So if a private policy was obtained in the interim, an NFIP policy is issued dated as of loan closing, then the borrower essentially had double coverage or they were double insured. So if the borrower obtained a policy, they're going to have to cancel it. But if it was a bank forced place policy, then it's going to need to be canceled by the bank and you would need to refund any time period in which that coverage was overlapping. So I mean, the biggest takeaways here is going to be to really take time to go back and review those flood loans that you have that maybe closed during that period, or if you had a policy that expired during that period, just to make sure that your coverage is in place and we don't have any issues there.